Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this, what is today, the 25th day of June, I want to say. Yes, 25th day of June. Got a great show with you on for tonight. Obviously, Giannis was traded since the last time I talked to you. He is now a member of the Miami Heat. How good can the Heat be? Did Milwaukee get proper compensation for that? Also, talk the NBA draft as well. Brandon Sorgsby will have to sit and wait to the April draft. The NFL denied him. Got an opinion on that particular situation. Also, a few thoughts on the World Cup as well. Stand by. Hopefully, Mad New York will be in, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Let's take our first and only break, and we'll be back here momentarily. And about 49 seconds, folks. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. We'll go back here. Also, Lonzo Ball was traded. I mean, that could be a good thing or that could be a disaster. He was traded to the Minnesota to play up there with Anthony Edwards. We'll see how that plays out. Got a few opinions on that one. Now, okay. Plus Dusty May, I'm still trying to get over that. I can't believe he left Michigan for the Mavericks job. 2 years, wins a national championship. Guy's only 49 years old. Head coach there, University of Michigan, goes up to Coach Cooper Flagg with the Dallas Mavericks. I'll get to that as well. Okay, so let's go back to the Giannis trade here. Giannis Antetokounmpo, a lot of us know him as Big A. Star player there, championship winner with the Milwaukee Bucks, their big man out of Greece there. Was traded earlier this week, folks, to the Miami Heat here. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I just did not see I really didn't see the value per se of Milwaukee getting this. Here we go. Here's the detail getting of this trade here. Tell you what, we'll go ahead and bring the Mad New York. I'll see him backstage, and I'll go ahead and go over this trade detail. Hey, Carlos.
What's up?
Just in time, we'll go ahead and read this details. I was telling the audience here of this trade here that happened earlier this week with the Bucks and the Miami Heat. Milwaukee's traded franchise Giannis and Bobby Portis to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero, Kel Ware, Jaime Jaquez. Now, this Jaquez Jr. is not a bad player. Candatis, I don't know his last name, like Colin Cowherd would say, other than Tyler Hero, and really Tyler Hero included. I mean, it's a bunch of end tables that Milwaukee got at a used garage sale there for Giannis. But they did get the 3 first-round picks, including the 13th pick, which turned out to be Nate Emmett from Tennessee. Which is a pretty good player. We talked about him. Pretty good player. So that was a decent player there. And, of course, they got the other draft picks in the future, going all the way up to 2031 and 2033. So, a few pick swaps and second rounders. We not find out what they're going to get for this trade from years from now. Maybe, folks, maybe Milwaukee lands a Joker or somebody. Maybe they hit gold and get a very good. Maybe they get a Jalen Brunson type of player in the future here. But this has got to be a bummer for the Milwaukee Bucks. From their perspective, I think they probably should have did this trade maybe a year or so ago when Giannis didn't have all these missed games on his resume. I talked about it Monday, Carlos. So if you got a chance to watch the program, this guy's missed 8 playoff games in the last 3 years. He only played 36 games last year. He's going to be 32 this year. Not a lot of value here. That being said, if you're Miami, I mentioned those players. Miami finished 10th last year. You pairing him with a guy like Bam, and you throw in a Bobby Portis there, a few shooters. I think that makes Miami competitive. I'm not sure if it's going to make Miami an air quote championship team, but I do think Miami's better today than they were last week. What are your thoughts on the Miami Heat getting Giannis here in this big trade?
Well, it's a good money move for the Bucks, right? Because they don't got to go and look
the salary dump. Yeah, I see. And then you get some picks back. Yeah, if you look at it that way, yeah.
Yeah, they got some good. I mean, Miami, they still get a star out of the deal. They get jersey sales. They get they have a team that could get they could have a 3-headed monster, but it just depends on. It all depends on. It's not the move really, but it depends on the play of Giannis. Is he gonna, like you said, he's been injured a lot lately. Hopefully they can get he can get past that injury bug and give 2 good seasons, and then I think probably by next season they can go ahead and pick up 2 more players. Miami has a bigger wallet than Milwaukee to attain players anyway, so even via draft and trade. So I think they'll make some moves and be competitive, and they're definitely gonna be competitive, more competitive than they were before. And I think that what Miami's trying to do is not become the next Orlando, right? So after you lose a star, you don't want to just go sideways, or down. You want to just keep moving.
It's about Milwaukee, right?
Well, no, I mean Orlando in the division where they have some stars. They started then they end up moving Shaq, and then all of a sudden it just kind of Orlando fell off the map for a few years until they picked up Dwight Howard, and then they put players around him, and then so that's because it's a hard way to build up, and being in Florida, it's not that you're guaranteed to have a fan base there. It's just a bigger demographic to pull fans from, as long as you have something to produce. Like you're producing a good product. So the problem with the fans in Florida is they coming from other places as well. They're not just from not just from Florida. So they know about basketball. You have Knicks fans there. You have Celtic fans. You have people that have moved from other cities like California and Texas, and they're there and they want to see good basketball. Sometimes they'll pay more to go see their old teams than they will to support the Heat or the Orlando Magic. So
yeah, they want to get out of that cold Northeast. Yeah, so you got guys like Norman Powell, Davion Mitchell's our point guard. Andrew Wiggins is still on this Heat team with Giannis, and of course you got Bam as a very good player with Bobby Portis coming off the bench. Maybe they add a shooter or 2 during free agency, folks, which will be next week. The NBA is a little bit different from the NFL. The NFL has their free agency first, then the draft. The NBA has their draft, then free agency. It's not a bad move for Miami. As far as Milwaukee is concerned, I mean, it's just a bad deal up front for Milwaukee. But I guess I would prefer Milwaukee to a guy to Jaylen Brown. Maybe they're just saying they couldn't get enough around him to get a Jaylen Brown. I don't know. Brown's pushing 30. Maybe they just want to go all out rebuild. Still didn't quite get enough here. But listen, it's a success with Giannis. I mean, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who left, I want to say in 70. He won a championship with Milwaukee. He later moved to L.A. He was moved to L.A. They went in a long drought, 50-year drought or something like that. But, hey, Giannis, he got his championship there, 13 years or something like that. And now he's moved on to Miami. They got their picks. Hopefully, with good management. That's what this league. We talked about it last week with your Knicks here. This league is built on. It's about 80-20, in my opinion. General manager, player, personnel over coaching. So you pick the right picks, you develop the right players, you get the right chemistry. We'll see what happens. But if I'm a Bucks fan, I'm pretty discouraged at this moment here. And I'm not sure if I'm a season ticket holder. I want to see what that, guys like Tyler Hero and a bunch of draft picks right now. Not unless you're just a diehard basketball fan, don't watch this kind of process. It's going to take a long time. Not like the NFL where you can switch it over very quickly. It takes some time to let it brew, let it bake in. So I thought it was pretty interesting. Also, I don't know if you got a chance to see this other trade, man. LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball was traded. Listen, he was just looked at kind of like a Ja Morant, very immature there with Charlotte. He's gotten some trouble. He had a bad accident there. He's had some has some foul issues. He's got his fines and whatnot. They had a little bit of success this past year, but I guess they feel like they just wanted to get a more mature player. I guess they want to build around this Knappel guy. He's from second-year player out of Duke. They just want to have a different vibe there, and a change of scenery could probably help him. So they got Naz Reid. And listen, you know what? Minnesota's kind of hit their wall, if you ask me. They're a team that needs to be, and they also moved your boy Julius Randle, by the way.
Back in New York.
Tournament, poor Randle. But I think that they get a sense that, and I've said this before, and maybe they need to do a coaching change if this don't work this year. But the truth of the matter is they need to get better seeding. They don't need to be a 6th or 7th seed and have to play the top teams and just wear themselves out in the first or second round, get the big upset. They beat a Denver, and then they turn around and get beat in the next round. You want to have an easier path. Well, be better during the regular season. Get a 2 or 3, maybe a 1, and kind of ride the backs of a Gobert on your defensive side. And you got some scoring there with the LaMelo Ball. And, of course, obviously Edwards, who can give you 40, a night. What do you think about that trade? And the flip side, I guess the flip side, it could be a total disaster. They could get in trouble together, but Ball and Edwards. But what's your thoughts on that trade, Ball going to Minnesota?
Yeah, I think Minnesota was looking for a way to kind of build up that energy level. Ball's he's not that much older than Edwards, so I feel like maybe they can try to see if they can.
Oh yeah, he's a young guy too. Yeah,
put those guys together and just bring energy. For Charlotte, I felt like they got rid of the energy that they didn't want. Right? They're like, wait a minute, you're too much energy for us. Yeah. We need more consistency. He was erratic. He was in and out of the lineup. He had a lot of issues with injuries. He's had a lot of issues off court, like things going on. So I felt, and another thing too, and we gotta talk about it. I'm not sure Charlotte had enough pocket money to deal with the erraticness and to keep this guy, even though he brings in fans, right? LaMelo, when you speak, when you say his name, he's a Ball brother. You know that there's always some kind of, there's something attached to his brand, right? So, and I don't think that Charlotte had enough to want to, even if they wanted to keep him and have that energy on the court, I don't think they would have had enough finances to make a move that would have worked in their favor and to build that team. So bringing a guy like Naz Reid and making this trade helped them out in two different ways. Right now they have a little bit more consistency, and now they have a little bit more pocket money. And then for the Timberwolves, they got another energy player, right? So it kind of worked out for both teams. And then maybe the Timberwolves too are looking to. They're spending a lot. Yeah. This team with the ownership of Alex Rodriguez and stuff, they're not holding back too much for one of those teams that are middle market teams. So they're doing okay. Having a player like Edwards helped them financially, and I think this is a place that it's time for Mr. Ball to put up or shut up too. You know, you got to be on the team, you got to be consistent, you got to be good, and this is an opportunity for him. And if he blows it, like maybe he ends up being like a 6 to 8 man off a bench off of another team in the next 2 years.
He's way more talented than his brother Lonzo, if you ask me. Much better scorer of the basketball. Talking about LaMelo Ball. So this is Minnesota's projected lineup, folks. LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, this Ayo DiMaggio. Now, remember, he was really good off the bench, if you recall, against Denver last year in the playoffs, this past year in the playoffs. Jalen Daniels, who's really made a name for himself as well. And, of course, you got Gobert at the center position, mainly for defense and rebounding purposes. That's not a bad lineup there. They just got to keep their head on straight, and hopefully the Ball and Edwards don't go out and act a fool together.
No.
That could be dynamite.
Yeah. With Gobert, is a possibility. This might be his last year too. He's not. He's not very consistent, and if you're gonna put up a team together, you might actually move him and get you a little bit younger in the either get a power forward or a center as well. Yeah. So that's something that can happen as well, because there's no way Edwards is saying that this is a team that we can go to playoffs with. I'm sure he's saying we can probably add a couple more guns to this artillery.
He was pulled out at times when they played against San Antonio in Wemby. So that's a good point. Boy, they gave up a lot for him just a few years ago.
Yeah, they did. They did push.
Jazz, yeah.
They did push. It was like a poker table, right? You went all in, you just push, and then you didn't hit it on the river, man. You didn't. So yeah,
short, big time, brother. And as far as Charlotte, not a bad squad. I was looking at their projected lineup. Kobe White, former Chicago Bull, if you remember him. Con Knipple. He's a sharpshooter guy from Duke, second-year guy. Now, last year, he looked like Rookie of the Year at one point. He kind of he's a very good three-point shooter. He would have been good with, like, this Golden State Warrior team. Good setup shooter guy from Duke, their second-year player. Brandon Miller. Hadn't heard that name in a few years. Remember, he got in a little bit of trouble at Alabama, but he's a very highly sought-after, talented player. Miles Bridges and, of course, Naz Reid. That's a competitive team on a night-to-night basis there. Naz Reid really brings a lot to the table there. He brings some experience that they needed, and they took away a loose cannon like a LaMelo Ball. It was a big difference in temperament, isn't it?
It was a car crash. It was just like watching a car crash, but like a NASCAR car crash, not like on the highway. It was like, okay, coming off in Talladega's, we're gonna get a crash. That's what it felt like. But that's too much. I feel like that was too much energy for that team, and there was no consistency. Not having that consistency is what made their playoff run short. So, but it was good.
They looked good. It was a high energy game, but it was too high energy, and they did look out of control. Like just a bunch of guys running up and down the court, not knowing.
Yeah, they were just shooting like 40 or 50 shots. This is like a quarter, and you're like, when they went in, you're like, yeah, this is fun. But when it didn't, or they were just airballing, you're like, what is going on? So
yeah, they're not doing any set plays or anything. They're just like it's kind of like a fast forward, like high energy YMCA game, a street ball game.
You remember NBA Jam?
NBA Jam. I hadn't heard that name in a while. He's on fire. Jumping out.
No.
Yeah. I love that. Let's see. Okay. There. By the way, there is a lot of there's reports actually. Brian Windhorst is saying that the Grizzlies are likely to move on from Ja Morant this summer. I was kind of hoping if you're going to make that move, do it before this draft.
Right.
Ja Morant is, and by the way, I like their. I don't know if you caught this, and I was going to get to the draft here in just a second. Kind of going a little bit out of order here, but Cam Boozer being drafted, I thought that was probably the best fit. bringing in a guy like Boozer, hitting the reset button. I thought maybe he could try one more shot with Ja, but it looks like the reports are no, they want to start over. Maybe just build the team around Cam Boozer. Got his dad's influence there. I think that'll be great. We saw other players whose dad played in the NBA. Now I know. Did his dad play or something like that? What's the issue with his dad? I know his dad's a lot involved and acts like usher. I don't know if his dad played, but guys like Steph Curry's dad played. Brunson's dad, what's his name? Rick Brunson's dad played. Kobe's dad played. You can kind of see the common element. It usually turns out to be a pretty successful type of ordeal there with the Boozer, bringing in a guy like that. I think a Morant, a change can do him good. I hate to see him go. I like the guy. I followed him since he came out of Murray State. But you know what? If you can move him to, say, like a Detroit needs an extra fire plug to help score the basketball. I think he can play point guard. Of course, you can play the main scorer would still be Cade Cunningham. But you could play a guy off of Cunningham like a Ja Morant. What do you think about that idea of him moving? Or should he even move from Memphis? What's your thoughts on that report situation there?
Man, if I'm his agent, I'm talking to this guy and I'll be like, let's just play basketball, man. Let's just do what you do. Don't worry about what people have said. Don't worry about what's going to be said. Don't worry about nothing. Pick up the ball, train hard, work hard, shoot, practice. Just focus on the ball. If you can do that, you'll be able to be successful in a team. Even a team like, I could see a team like the Mavericks or even Utah trying to pick this guy up. They need, these teams that are short of so one more player that's like you said, a fire starter there, man. Someone that can shoot and someone that can score. I mean, there's a lot of potential there, but the problem is all that potential and all you hear from and all you see and all the rhetoric that's going on for this guy and after being in college and having a gun and all this other junk, you don't want your franchise to bring in something that's gonna take away from the main priority of going and winning games. And if he can't change his own narrative and just be about basketball, it doesn't matter where he goes. It doesn't matter who picks him up. It's just the same old sad story, just like having the opportunity in Memphis. Memphis was a perfect place for him because it was close to home. He would have been able to build a brand there, and he did everything opposite. He made it about stuff that didn't have to do with basketball. And then on top of that, you would think his support system would help him and keep him out of trouble, and it didn't. So if I'm this guy's agent and I know I want to make some money, I'd just talk to him and be like, listen, opportunities out there. It's not about the opportunity. It's about you, man. You got to make it about basketball, man. You can't.
But a lot of times, though, I remember when, you hear guys like Chris Carter saying, hey, listen, when I moved, it really helped him move from Philadelphia. That's a football story. From Philadelphia to Minnesota. I want to say Philly cut him because he had some alcohol issues. But going to basketball, I want to say Zach Randolph had some issues going back to Portland. And he moved to Memphis and found new life there. So sometimes a change can do you good. A change of scenery, change of coaching staff, just a change of scenery, period. They've already went through a couple of coaches, I want to say, since he was brought in with Memphis. So as much as I hate to see him leave, man, it may just be best if they did move off him, build around Boozer, and put him with somebody else. It might be best for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's teams out there that can use a guy that can be a spark. But the problem is, man,
And plus, I don't think he's gotten in trouble in the last year. So I think it's kind of
he was injured, though.
It's more about injury here recently.
Yeah, he was injured though, so that's another thing. I'm just trying to think of maybe what team he'd actually probably be good on.
Yeah,
Indiana Pacers.
Yeah,
you go up there and
does was whatchamacallit play his same position, our guy that was hurt there.
Yeah, but I think you can put both of these guys together and just, the Pacers need another scorer.
Halliburton, him and Halliburton both played point. I have to look and see. But, I mean, obviously one, you could convert. I know he can play point.
Yeah,
I know he shoots a lot, but I know that like a James Harden, he can play shooting or point guard.
Right, and I think he needs to like focus on one thing instead of trying to carry the team, like, and feel like he has to carry a team. Like you put a little bit less on his plate, let him starve a little bit, and then just
Halliburton's considered a point too. So yeah, he could play shooting as well.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know if that would work, but I think Detroit definitely needs another score. That's what
but see, here's the thing about I feel like someone like Morant will have a problem with someone like Cade. I feel like they're both the same attacking style basketball player, even if they're in different positions. What they would take, I feel like they would butt heads. Where a guy like Halliburton, he's not gonna. He can just stop shooting, and just run point if he needs to. I don't think Morant would want to stop to try to score and would be that point guard you want. He's more like the guy who's going to go and just take the ball, and even if he sees somebody open, he's still going to make a drive because he sees the opportunity. Whereas Halliburton would be like, could be that he can offset him a little bit because they're not the same style, they're not the same mentality of type of basketball player. Where
he's going to be forced to possibly adapt to whatever new culture he's going to be.
Oh, no matter where he goes, he's going to be treading water, man. He's going to figure it out. So.
Because he's another guy you would think if this stuff didn't happen, his trade value would be higher. People would be happy to trade for him.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Again, he wouldn't be trade bait if he didn't have all the problems. So.
maybe even go to Portland or Utah, like a place that the playoff potential, but he's not the one that's gonna. He's going to help you get there. He's not the number one. He can't be a number one right now. He just needs to feel like just kind of be somewhere and mature a little bit. He can't be a number one.
Yeah, he's 28 years old.
But he's like
now he ain't going. Now you mentioned Dallas earlier. Okay, they still need to move. I think they need to move off of. They need to move off Kyrie. He's older. They need to move off Klay Thompson. He's older. They're going to build around Cooper Flagg. They drafted this guy out of Michigan, which that's another topic I'm going to get to you in just a second. With the new coach, Dusty May, that really threw me off there, but we'll get to that. But Cooper Flagg can do it all. He can play a point forward. He can play off ball. I mean, Flagg. Can you imagine having a much more younger, energetic Kyrie Irving type of player as in Ja Morant? That might work out in a Dallas. Well, I'd love to play for Dallas if I'm a Ja Morant with Cooper Flagg and new coach Dusty May with that new look offense there. And you've already got a big there and Derek Lively.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, too, if you're thinking about picking up Morant is also where you're going to put in his contract. If you make it if you make it heavy on trying to get stats, man, he's going to work to try to get them stats because he's going to want to get paid. So you got to be careful what you put in his contract and like even if he goes to a team like the Dallas Mavericks and he's playing with a guy like Cooper Flagg probably isn't worried about stats. So, he could probably they could probably play off each other better, but don't put too much on emphasis on a structured deal where you make him stat heavy because Morant will give you stats. He's proven that.
Yeah.
he can get stats, but it's not that don't equate to playoff contingency, man. I'm just putting that out there like, that's why he needs to go on a team that's on the cusp being a playoff team or being ready to be in the
Yeah, he would be good with Miami, but I don't know what Miami can give. They sold all their goods for Giannis. Okay, another big story. Don't let me forget it. Talk about Dallas. Here's my take here. Dusty May shockingly took this Mavericks job after winning a national championship, folks. He was only there 2 years. 2 years, wins a national championship at Michigan. Guy's 49 years old. He's just a few years older than me and you. But he said he wasn't sure about the direction of college basketball with this NIL and transfer portal. I'm sure he had to be sold on a Cooper Flag. Folks, so little side note, Jason Kidd wanted an front office job like a Brad Stevens. They just mutually decided to part ways with, I forgot the guy's name. I forgot the new player personnel person that's taken over for Dallas. They moved off of Jason Kidd. They brought in Dusty May. Like I said earlier, probably going to move off of Kyrie Irving. They're probably going to move off of Klay Thompson. I was really shocked that with their draft pick that they took Johnson. They did not take Linsenborg from your Michigan team. They did not take the big man from your Michigan team. Of course, they didn't really need a big. They had Lively there and Gafford. What's your thoughts about that? I'm still trying to get over the fact that he would still leave Michigan considering basketball the way it is. That being said, I could see being sold on a guy like Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag's all that. The problem is he's being overshadowed by a guy in his own conference there with Wemby because Wemby's such a phenom. But what's your thoughts about that, man?
Yeah, look, I feel like at this point, he's like going off of whatever's available on the chart. He's gonna have to figure out what's going on in the NBA because it's not like college. It sounds like at college he just kind of the drought, the well went a little dry and there's a drought, right? Like
yeah,
he was getting these players from foreign players, and now all of a sudden everybody wants to get foreign players. So when you throw money at the situation, guess what? You found the secret code, but now everybody knows the secret code. So it's like Contra. When we play Contra, when you found out, everybody in your neyborhood found out that you can get 30 lives. So you can't play the game. Yeah, you can't play the game the same way. So so now he's got to going to the NBA gives him.
Are you shocked he actually left Michigan though?
No, because I felt like when your team gets a championship, especially when these big 5 power schools get championships, they're not going to take 2-3 seasons of maybe being in the dance or not. They want you in the dance every year after that, and in the Final Four every year after that. That's what they're giving you money for.
Are you sold on Cooper Flag enough to leave? Because he had to have a star player to draw a guy like Dusty May in. He's hot right now. He could have got a big extension,
Well, I mean, I personally, Cooper Flag, I knew that like you got to show me something, I didn't say that
you wouldn't have been sold on Cooper Flag, so you would have stayed in Michigan.
Yeah, I would have stayed in Michigan. I would I would have rolled that out until they said, "Listen, you're on the hot seat." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know if I would have took that either. I mean, somebody had to sell him on this job, With Cooper Flag.
I'm sure they added a couple more. A little bit more after the dot there, but
on his contract,
but the way I would have done it was like, I just won a championship. Can I run it back? That's the kind of person I am, right? I just won. I'm a winner now, so let's try to keep winning. Let's try to roll that one back. And I'm not sure that he felt confident that he'd be able to let go of 3 or 4 players, right, and then have to run it back with 3 new other guys that he has to fish for.
Yeah.
In the same well that everybody's fishing from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what he said in an interview, folks. He said, he told Colin Cowherd, he said, I can celebrate this thing because we got to go recruit the whole team over again.
Right.
It's one thing that you got the one and dones, but you still got up. And it's another thing when you got one and dones and you got all the other players getting recruited away through air quote transfer portal. which is really technically legal to go out and try to buy another player that's on another rock, but they do it anyways.
Right.
Do it through. So you could tell. Do you think that this is bad for college basketball? There's going to be a mass exodus of good coaches.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because now it's the flip side. Now it's the one and done coaches, right? Now you got a one and done coach. Are other coaches going to follow? But the problem is there aren't many vacancies for these college coaches to come up. There's a hell of a more college coaches from thousands of different universities than there is, availability in the NBA to be a coach.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's why I would have stayed, because I would have put my. If somebody said, "Hey, do you want to, coach the Memphis Grizzlies or the Orlando Magic?" and then I put my name in the hat, why not? Like, you only get so many opportunities, and I think the fact that he couldn't run it back and maybe win a championship, and then he have opportunity in the NBA. Somebody's giving you an opportunity, you can't not take it, right?
Yeah.
And so now, are we going to see an exodus of coaches? I think we'll see more guys who are older than 50 retire before and not go to the NBA. Then we will see guys who are in the mid 40s, 50s try to switch over to the NBA. How about that?
That's the case right now. I mean, that could very well be the case right now. That being said, by the way, folks, also was reported that they were also going after, prior to May, going after Duke's coach, which I don't know. I think May did a better job. Duke's coach has still got some learning to do. That being said, I do think between the United States government putting some guardrails with this transfer portal and all this stuff, there's going to be enough bylaws and guardrails per se with NIL that I think this problem is going to fix itself. And I do think that coaches are overreactive. But as we speak today, June the 25th, 2026, I get a sense that it's just too stressful for some of these coaches to deal with all this turnover in their programs every single year.
And I do see groups of former NBA players who are no longer eligible or able to play 3-on-3, Ice Cube's 3-on-3 tournament, go into coaching, into college, and into some of these foreign countries. And because the opportunity is there for them more than it is on the flip to come to the NBA as a college coach, right? It's easy to go from the NBA into the college, what's going on there as far as coaching and being a team scout or going into being their sometimes they have these guys that are advisors, because they can't, the university can't pay them as a coach, so they'll go and they'll be an advisor, whatever. So I see that happening too, more and more than the one and done coaching, because the one and done coaching, you have to actually. He had the opportunity because he won a championship. See, not everybody's winning a championship at the NCAA, level there. So
yeah. I mean, this is the first one in a while to jump from college to pro. The pros are less likely to take to coaching. I wouldn't have done it, but hey, listen, I do like Cooper Flagg. I understand it. Like I said, the stress involved with getting this amount of turnover and this amount of recruiting your own players, it can be ridiculous. The ones that don't go to the NBA. Let's talk about the draft, man. Do you have any players that stuck out to you that said that's a good fit? It might not play out today, but that is a good fit. This is one of the more talented drafts in the last 30 years. Your thoughts on that? Then I'll give you my thoughts on this thing.
Yeah, I think there's a couple guys that fell, a few guys that fell after 10. But it's good that they fell under 10 because they went to teams that are a better fit for them.
Okay.
That one player from Tennessee, he fell down.
He ended up going to Milwaukee.
Right.
Which there's no players there now.
Right.
He's got a chance to shine there.
Right. And so so there's a there's a couple players that had done that, especially from the Tennessee universities, a couple a Vanderbilt player as well. So and then the thing that I'm not shocked by it, but the movement between after 3 and down towards 20s is the movement of the teams trying to move up, trying to move down, trading picks. Especially the New York Knicks, after winning a championship, I was like, okay, now they got to reload, right? Because they're gonna have to get rid of a few players, and they pulled Carlos. They was like, yo, we'll trade our top picks and we'll load up on some second day draft picks. And I was like, look at that, people starting to think, because you're gonna need depth at the end of the day if you're gonna run it back.
Yeah, and second round picks are non-guaranteed. Not the first rounds have guaranteed contracts. Second don't. And Leon Rose, I'm starting to trust him more. Hey, you got the chip, man. You got some credibility there. The former agent there who's running things up in New York City. That's a good point. My thoughts is, I was really shocked that this Morez Johnson, you followed that Michigan team. He was a third player on that team. He was taken to that. He was the first Michigan player taken off the board to Dallas. Okay, over Lindenborg and Mara, and I'll talk about him in a minute. By the way, the big 7'3" center, and of course Lindenborg. He seemed like the best player in the team. The 23-year-old that also wore number 23. He's very good, 6'9" player. Ended up falling to Golden State. I thought he's great for Golden State, by the way, because he's an older player. They need more mature players to deal with that mature team that they have, who may actually go after LeBron James in the offseason, meaning like next week. But I thought he was a good fit, but I was really questioning. But I looked at I read the scouting report on Morez Johnson from Michigan. He's going to add defense there. He's going to add spacing there. He's going to help that front line. He's going to help a guy like a Cooper Flagg maneuver a little bit more. So they're putting together a little something there in Dallas. But the problem with Dallas is they got to deal with OKC, man. And they got to deal with the powerhouse of San Antonio. So they may still fall under the radar for a minute before they compete with those big dogs. But, talk about OKC. We talked about this a month ago. Mora. This guy's name is Ade Mara. Excuse me, Ade Mara, 7'3" Michigan center there. He was drafted in the first round, I want to say with the 12th pick by the OKC Thunder to add depth there at that center position now with the Isaiah Hartenstein, who there's some issues with his player team option there. We're not sure if he's going to be moved or traded, but they can still keep him. There's still a very good chance they could still keep him with the Chet Holmgren, who seemingly does not like that contact. He's so thin. So now you got 3 bigs you can throw at Victor Wembanyama. Right now, I'm looking at OKC, and I trust Sam Presti. I think they may be the favorite to win the championship next year. What do you think about them taking Mara there? The older 7'3", another big man to throw at Wemby coming up there next season.
I mean, listen, it's not just that. They went down in the 17. They got Ibuka. Like they had 2 first-round picks, and they were in the freaking conference finals. I know now. So they're building something there that a lot of other teams can't do, and now this allows them to do something that I think really rarely happens on professional teams, which is called development, right? Yeah. All these teams are like, well, just throw them down to the D League and bring them back up when we need to. Now they're actually be able to develop the team, not just through the D League, but even on the bench. You can go. Look, reading this roster that they're going to have next year. They're going to be 8-9 deep.
Right.
That's crazy.
People kind of sleeping on them because the Knicks won, and of course the Spurs beat them in 7.
Oh my God.
The Spurs did beat them in 7. Remember, the Spurs looked like they owned OKC during the regular season, and you saw how close those games were with the Spurs here, throwing an extra big at Wemby. I don't know, man. OKC they might get over the hump there. Although I do expect the Spurs to be really good, of course, and still
right. No.
Wemby's just such a phenom of a player. He might get that much better and get back to the finals and win it, for all we know. I think they're still favored, matter of fact, according to the odds makers.
I want this Quentin's guy that the Spurs picked up, Jaden Quentin's from the UK. Is he going to be playing next season, or is he going to be held over there?
Yeah, I didn't even look at that. He didn't even get my attention. You mentioned Ibuka. They picked up a guy from Spain. OKC picked this guy up from Spain. So I don't know how these foreign players are, but you got to trust the front office of these two organizations. You know, they have a knack for picking up international players. Okay. You look at what's his name? SGA is from Canada, folks. Yeah. You know, Wemby's obviously, he's from France, but everybody knew he was the man coming in. The Spurs had a habit. Ginobili, where was he from? Argentina?
Ginobili's Argentina, yeah. He's an Argentina.
And obviously you had, going back to RC Buford days, Tony Parker was from France. You've got to scout the world, man, if you want to be great in the NBA. And that's what the Spurs do. And Sam Presti comes from the Spurs. He scouts the world, who now leads the OKC Thunder as their general manager.
I got a quick question. And this is just between you and me. Like, I don't do you believe Acuff going on 7, Sacramento got a better deal than the Wagner deal at number 5?
The Wagner deal at number 5. Acuff, I kind of felt bad for him. I mean, going to the Kings, man, he might be lost in You might catch him on NBA TV in the middle of January, knocking out 30 points, but then you might not see for a minute. I kind of feel bad for AJ DeBonce as well, the number 1 pick I thought he'd go number 1, going to the Wizards with all their problems, trying to play with Trae Young and possibly an Anthony Davis, but I think they'll move off Davis. Will Washington ever get better? I mean, how bad have they been our whole life, man, going back to the Bullets days?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that Jordan played with too, right?
Yeah, Jordan couldn't do nothing with them in 2002. He's, I'll be the president. That didn't work. Let me go out and play. That didn't work for a little. I mean, I think they got to the playoffs and got beat. But he didn't like playing with Stackhouse. He didn't think Stackhouse was 100%, giving it 100%,
Yeah, I was watching stories about Stackhouse. It was funny because he told I just watched a podcast and Jordan told the coach, I would take the second and third team and we'll beat the first team.
Yeah.
And Stackhouse tried to call him out and say, the reason why you're playing on our team, you're old as fuck. I mean, sorry, with my language. Yeah. You're old as,
get out. Huh?
Yeah, and then he was like, okay. And then the first team ended up getting beat like 3 days in a row or something by the second and third team led by Jordan.
Jordan didn't want to. He's got so much ego. I'm sure
can you imagine telling a guy like Jordan, like, bro, your time has come. You're trash, And then all of a sudden,
and that just struck a memory with me. This Knoppel guy, this sharpshooter from the Hornets, he reminded me of Jeff Hornacek, which is a guy that when I think about Stackhouse, I think about him welling on Jeff Hornacek for whatever reason, punching him in the face a couple years ago, 20 years ago, during a scuffle there during the NBA game. So he's always kind of had a control problem there. I think Jordan thinks that he didn't give it his all. I think he thought Stackhouse was talented. I knew Stackhouse was talented. I think he went to North Carolina as well. But I don't think he gave it 100%. According to Jordan. And Jordan, he wants everything out of everybody, including the player they drafted number 1.
Well, I know you remember that year after the 2 guys that came out of UNC, Antoine Jameson and what's this guy's name? Because it was Jerry Stackhouse,
right?
Yeah, and we talk about them like, when are these guys going to hit? When are these guys going to hit? And they were good basketball players, but they were not great they were not amongst the NBA great. Like, Vince Carter. Vince Carter was the one who ended up.
Carter was a money ball player. I thought he was going to win the championship with Toronto, and it just come up short. Oh, got to get to this Brandon Sorsby drama. As the world turns with this guy. Okay, so I wanted to correct something with the audience here, and my bad. Have a lot going on, working a lot of extra hours, putting back some money here, but I missed a significant detail that I failed to disclose about his situation. This is the player from the transfer from Cincinnati to Texas Tech, folks, because he got into some gambling issues, made a whole lot of bets. NCAA, he got into trouble with NCAA. Texas Tech fought. He sued the NCAA, got a conjunction, which means he could have played for Texas Tech. And then the Big 12 started coming at Texas Tech, and then one of the attorney general was going to come out and take Texas Tech's side and go against the Big 12, but other teams started coming out against Texas Tech. So the higher ups in Texas Tech, the Board of Regents in Texas Tech said, you know what? This is the part I left off. I didn't catch, but I caught it today or caught it earlier this week. The Board of Regents said, we're out on Brandon Sorsby. You can keep your NIL money. We're going to go with the other quarterbacks. This is too much hassle. Okay. So then he goes back into the supplemental draft. And this past week, the NFL said, you know what? We're not going to give you a pass here. You're going to have to go towards the April draft, which at first I thought, well, that's a bunch of nonsense because he didn't do anything in NFL. But then I realized that they've had the last time they had a supplemental draft was 7 years ago. You know, it was a special occasion type of thing. And so the NFL said, you don't have to wait. Sorsby's just going to have to sit out. His last pass was in November. Not going to feel sorry for a guy. He knew gambling was wrong in the sport like that. But he's young and stupid. And I've also said this, players that are drafted in these supplemental drafts often don't work out. Terrell Pryor, Brian Ballsworth, Josh Gordon, who they did let him come in as a, he had a marijuana issue. He got kicked out of Baylor, but the NFL didn't want the bad publicity for it. And they said, you know what? We're going to let this one ride. We're not going to hold the supplemental draft. You're going to have to come out in April 27. So I think he'll probably drop in stock probably to a third-round pick instead of a first-round pick because I think other players that are going to be drafted in 27, their stock's going to get up from playing this year. So what do you think about that whole situation with Sorsby going to have to go to the regular draft like everybody else coming up in April of next year?
Well, when the NFL put down the gauntlet like that's something sort of big. There must be something more than just a gambling bit. Maybe it's an attitude thing. Maybe it's maybe it's the lawyer messed up. Maybe he put his eggs in all one basket. So I'm not sure what the background is on this as far as like why the NFL would say no, considering the fact that I'm sure the other teams are chomping at the bit to try to.
They kind of like to get him, Yeah.
So and if you're the player, man, this is terrible because you're out a full season. Yeah, you have an extra season to train, but you can't be. There's no training better than being on the field, especially on the NFL level.
It's unfortunate, but
so maybe I don't know. Maybe he could start at the Canadian League, like
somebody mentioned that online. That's been going around. He could possibly do that for 1 year.
Raise his stock,
just train and come out. His stock's gonna be down, but hey, he brought it on himself.
That's right.
Yeah, got to do a violin for him. It's not like he's been mistreated. He knew he was doing wrong and kept doing it for a long time. So
right now, if I'm his agent, I'm calling every Canadian team available that wants to, have him as a tryout. Because it's
playing is good, even if it is.
That's what I was going to say. Like it's, and the thing about the Canadian League football, if you guys don't watch or haven't ever watched, they're quarterback heavy dependent as well. So if you're a QB if you're a starting QB for a Canadian team, you're going to be on the field. You're going to get hit, and you have the ball in your hands, and you will decide whether games are won or lost. So, I feel like maybe that's some of the best opportunity he'll have to kind of stay training and be ready. And if I'm his agent, man, I'm working that phone. I'm working the emails. I'll be up in Canada.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what. Hey, so what do you real quick? Any takes? United States, they beat Australia last week. There's a little bit of issue here, dilemma. They play tonight. They play Turkey tonight. If they lose, they're still going to be okay for the next round. Yeah, 4 players have yellow cards. If they get another one, they could possibly be suspended, kind of like the NBA with the flagrant foul things for the next game. Those guys could be benched. Pulisic's going to play. Do you take a chance and play these players and tell them not play so aggressive, or you just bench them? What do you do in that situation, man?
Right now, the team has a lot of depth. They're already riding a winning streak, so they can afford to play into the pieces that I have on the bench. They should play some of these guys on the bench. I mentioned 2 that came out on the second half of the first game. They haven't been out on the field since the first game, in Gio Urena and Timmy Weah. These guys need to be on the field. They need to play. They should be on the field playing already, but they have a plan, and they're being very schematic and very conservative, and that's okay. I mean, you can do what you want if you're the coach and you're a winning coach. So, but these guys need to be on the field, and I'm sure they'll be on the field sooner than later. And because of what's going on as far as the card situation and the availability that they want these kids to be able to play and as they get into the quarters and stuff like that. So, these qualifying games are no joke, and the thing is, it's kind of unfortunately, it's not like NCAA basketball done, but you have those teams.
Yeah.
So, I wish it was like that. That'd be so totally cool.
That would be nice. I think it should be that, and I mentioned this the other day. I think they should change the rules for the World Cup. You can't put 11 guys on the opponent's box like that. On your box to defend your goal. I think inside that box you can only have 2 players plus the goalie to help scoring. There should be no ties in the early rounds. I know they have them in the knockout rounds. You play for ties. I think they should just play on it, even if you got to go with penalty kicks at the end. Can you imagine the NCAA tournament game ending in a tie, dude? I mean, come on, man, just play on,
Well, NFL games end in ties nowadays, but look,
not playoff games, don't.
No, I know.
This is the playoff tournament,
These guys are used to playing a certain style, and that's how their leagues play. And so you can't just change the rules for the tournament. You'd have to change them for all the leagues.
All the leagues changed as well, but that's just me. I don't
know. But enjoy it for what it is, and it's every 4 years, so it's not like you're watching it every day. So you're not going to see. Maybe you'll see these national team players playing together. Maybe you'll see them playing. Usually, some of them who are actually really good and can stay at this level. You maybe see in 2 tournaments, no more than 3 tournaments, because players come in and players come out. So, when you see a roster, enjoy that these guys are playing together, because it's very rare that they'll have the same team throughout in the 4 years that they qualify and that they're waiting to qualify as they get into the next World Cup. So, you have to enjoy what it is. So, and another thing is, even if you have players that played 2 World Cups, 3 World Cups, 4 World Cups, that's just a one guy on the roster. That's not the whole team, right? So, enjoy this, because this is, like I said, this is not a roster that you're going to be seeing. And as you get older, you're going to appreciate it too. Like I look back and I'm like, man, that 06
highest rating since '94 is one I read earlier. Any more thoughts on the World Cup real quick, man? Anything stand out for you?
Ecuador beat Germany. I thought that was going to be Germany 3-1.
That was an upset there.
I didn't bet on that, and I wasn't expecting Ecuador to beat Germany. But that was a big look. Germany's going to be okay, and they're still in the mix. But that was really good for Ecuador. I live in a high density Ecuadorian filled, area here in New York, and everybody's going crazy. So good for them, man.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. Prayers and shout out to all those people who are suffering through earthquakes, including Venezuela.
Oh, down in Venezuela, yeah.
I've heard there was earthquakes in Japan and different places and all that. So, prayers go out to those people, and hopefully that not many people were hurt. So
yeah, I hear you. And a side note, that checked Mexico. I know Mexico won 3-0. That was an intense game. And kudos to Mexico winning in Mexico City.
Yes.
Those players were so delighted in Cloud 9. But early in that game, these guys were playing American football. They were knocking each other over in that game. That game was intense. Spain looks to have rebounded. Brazil looks to have rebounded. Who was it that England come up short the other day?
They did, and look, one of the teams that I said would be in the finals on Portugal. I think the final will be Portugal and the Netherlands. They're still both of these teams are kicking it high still.
I've not got a chance to see them. People are talking about the Netherlands. I didn't get a chance. I got to record them and see what Netherlands is doing. I want to see those teams play each other now. I'm waiting to see like what the final 4, the final 8 is going to be.
I'm not trying to plug anything, but if you got Peacock for Sunday Night Football, then you can watch these. You can rewatch these matches on Peacock.
Okay, I do not have Peacock, but I do record these games on Fox. Fox has got most of them.
Yeah, Fox
they're killing.
Yeah, Fox does have them online as well for rewatching.
Yeah. All right, buddy. All right, Mad New York, everybody. I got to get off here. I got to get up really early for a reservation. All right, folks. Ooh, that was a quick hour, man. Appreciate you coming on, buddy. Have a good one here, everybody. And I will see you probably Monday and give you a heads up on a few thoughts over the weekend. There could be some other trades here in the NBA, particularly Ja Morant. Plus, we have NBA free agency coming up next week. And, of course, we got to find out what the United States are going to be playing next and what happens in this particular World Cup. So if you like the show, share the show. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe at the Real Sports Scope YouTube channel. I want to build that thing up. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you then.